Hey, Rick.
Hey, Megan.
Every week, your background gets better and better.
You
You're
know,
really,
I'm a slow learner, but after so many years, I starting to figure that out, you know.
oh my gosh, I know. I was going to say you're really, really phenomenal at what you do for a living, but this has been a process. But look, it looks great. I love it. It's got your
Yeah,
NMLS number, your cell phone number. That's beautiful. I love it.
yeah, thank you. I'm learning some new skills and so far I'm just kind of like running through quicksand, but eventually get to the other side of it.
You'll be all right.
Lots of that.
So this week, we're going to talk about something that we talk about all the time.
Mhm.
And we really hate to repeat ourselves, but it is a story that is worth repeating because it's so sad and
Mhm.
frustrating for the consumer.
Mhm.
And so we're here to try to make people's process a lot better, a lot smoother, so that they know what they're getting into. So we'll tell a couple of war stories from the week. So
Yep.
I put a house up for sale, and it was a good price, nice house. I think I had 10 offers. Okay. So it was several days of going back and forth with highest and best and all this kind of stuff. Right. And, I always call the lenders and talk to them and see if, what the deal is. And so the top three offers, I said, well, they're kind of close here. Let's see, let's get them just cross qualified with you, Rick Dennis.
Mhm.
Let's just double check. And it's not, there's kind of there's tiers of cross qualification, right? Like you're going to call the lender, you're going to ask them some questions. If it's like a no brainer, then that sounds pretty good. But they start getting into uh, other things, and that might warrant a next level of screening. So tell us about sort of that process and what you found out this week with that.
Yeah, well, we had two, but really more than that, but two for sure. So one thing that I do when we go through this process is I will ask that lender, that loan officer, a certain series of questions because I want to get into their head about how much they know about that file. In other words, how prepared are they? How far in the process are they? How much do they know about that buyer, their financials, the loan product, the underwriting, and so on. And sometimes, I can talk to a lender and I'll know like right away, yeah, they get it, they know it, they understand it, we're good. And ask them a few basic questions. They know the numbers, they're on top of it, they're sharp, good to go. In these cases, though, it's a challenge because we had one this week. Again, you realize always multiple offers, time is of the essence.
Right.
You gotta be really well prepared. You've got to be able to act and then say it with conviction. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so I called this loan officer and he was right away a little bit fuzzy about, I said to him, I said, what kind of loan? I knew a lot about the loan already, but I wanted to ask him how much he knew and see what
Right.
he said. And so I asked him what kind of loan. He goes, oh, it's a conventional loan. Okay, good start. So as I dug deeper into it, I find out the buyer's self-employed. Asked him a few more questions. He was kind of fuzzy about some of the information. A lot of stuff in there that he was answering the questions vaguely, but not enough for me to get the concept that he was really understanding the loan.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, fine. I said, do this for me. I said, send over to me the buyer's tax returns. Let me look at that. And by the way, he sent over the DU findings as well earlier in the day. And on the DU findings, what I look for is the debt ratios and the income and type of income and see what that looks like. In this case, on those DU findings, he had really, really high income and his ratios were razor thin. And what I mean by that is one thing goes wrong with the tax returns in terms of that income validation, and you have a dead deal. I mean, it was just the edge. And so that was an important piece because if that income is off $500, you don't have a deal anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. That razor thin. Yeah.
Yeah. So I called him up, said, send me the tax returns. Well, we live in a world where we've not had paper files in over 10 years. Everything's electronic. It's all electronic documents now. And so he literally sends over to me, and I kid you not, he had an ACO fastened paper file. and he had it over the top of his laptop computer, and he was folding up the pages like this, taking cell phone pictures.
Mm.
Well, that's a problem. You don't have a file. You have
Yeah.
paper file.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, how's that file going to get to the underwriter? I mean, what is going on here? Yeah.
Yeah, they don't look at it that way. So I looked at what I could view, because the papers are distorted, they're not in order. And so what I could view of it, well, first of all, he said that the business was an LLC. But on the tax returns, it wasn't an LLC, it was a partnership. Well, that's a different structure, and that has a different set of analysis for the income. Entirely. So he didn't even know the type of business entity this buyer had. He just kind of, I think he probably guessed at it. But anyway, I went through what I could see of those tax returns, and just what I could view, he was about $2,000 a month short on the income. He didn't have his numbers. He did not know the numbers. And so, you and I, we're on the same page all the time, but, we can't be in a position with anyone where we're kind of going to go, well, let's just submit underwriting and see what they say. That's not a practice that we ever accept. And so, unfortunately, a lot of lenders and people in our business accept that practice, and they always get a terrible result. But in this case, come on, you've got multiple offers, man. When I call you up, you need to know the numbers. You have to tell me what you're doing and how you're going to do it. Otherwise, guess what? You're not going to win. You're going to lose.
I know, it's not a surprise phone call. I mean, they knew what was going on. That's the thing. It's like, it's so sad for the consumer, because they don't know what they don't know, and so they're providing the information. They don't know. I mean, especially if you're self-employed, it's like you're taking as many write-offs as you can. Well, guess what? You can't have your cake and eat it too. You've got so much of a loss that now you can't qualify for a loan, so you've got to show some income. And it's especially with self-employment, there's so many different little nuances and things you need to know. And that wasn't even the only one. There was multiple this week that it's almost like sometimes what agents lack in preparedness, they throw in for price. I just don't know. I had one with an escalating, offer, but they couldn't qualify. It's like they're on a margin there that's too tight. And so it's just been a week of this, and I don't know what's going on. I had somebody call me on a house that is well over $1 million this week. And they said, we want to buy this house all cash. And I said, okay, because they had seen it with me before. I said, okay, let's, we got to get the proof of funds and this and that. So they sent over the proof of funds. It's $900,000. And I'm like, okay, well, that's part of the payment. So do you have the rest of the proof of funds, or are you going to get a loan? And they said, don't worry about it. And I was like, oh, here we go. I'm absolutely worried about it, because we have to know how you're going to finance this house. And sometimes people think just because they have a lot of cash, or just because they have a lot of assets, that they're going to be able to qualify. And that's not the case. Having cash and assets alone does not mean that you're going to qualify for a loan. I mean, you have to have your credit run. You have to have all these, debts compared to your income. I mean, geez, don't worry about it. I almost fell off my chair.
Yeah, and you're right. You reached out to me on that one early Saturday morning, and I did talk to that buyer, and once again, here we are. We're on a Saturday, we have a multiple offer scenario, and they're not prepared. They have no loan in the system. They got no approval anywhere, but they think somehow they're just going to get an offer accepted because they have a lot of money. We know that doesn't work. Well, I talked to that buyer, self-employed, did not know the numbers, wasn't sure where things were, didn't know who owned what, where was what. She knew nothing. And I said, okay, great, let me do this. I said, look, time is of the essence here. Multiple offers, it's Saturday, I will help you, but you've got to get these documents to me. I will take the time out of my day to analyze all this income for you, and I'll get this done, but you've got to get this to me. Fair enough. I don't know, 8 hours later, she sends me an email with quote unquote tax returns. She had a personal tax return, a trust, and then a corporate tax return. Those what I asked her for in the email.
Yeah.
Sent me 3 documents, cell phone pictures. One was a cell phone picture of the front page of the personal, a cell phone picture of the front page of the the corporate returns, and I'm sorry, and nothing on the trust.
And that's where all the money was, in the trust, allegedly.
Everything was
Yeah.
currently in the trust. And so once again, look, we're on the same page here. We really want to help. Our job is to help people. We want to help families. We want them to win. We want them to succeed. But you know, at the same time, they've got to do their part as well.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
want them to win.
Oh my gosh. Well, I wish us luck in the future here. And hopefully people, because none of these people in any of these scenarios got the house because
No.
they weren't prepared. And so sometimes people, like I had somebody else that had called me on a house 6 months ago, then they called me on a house a few weeks ago. And so it's the same person that keeps calling about these houses I've listed. And I'm like, well, they have a contingency. They have to sell their house first. And I'm like, you're really not going to be prepared unless you really get down here. I said, let me come over and meet with you. Like, I'm not pushy. You're not signing anything, but let's like have a walk through the house and let's see what we've got. And then we'll sit down and I'll tell you how this works. But, you know, selling a house, buying a house, how does this work? How do we make it work? It's like, just take the time and sit down with somebody and get it figured out. So that way you're prepared. You don't miss out on something. It's like all this running around. I had somebody call me a sign call the other day on a house that I've had, I don't know, 5 open houses on. We've got multiple offers, and they called and they said, hey, I just wanted to know about this house on Main Street. You know, how much is it? And it's super expensive. So I said how much it was and this and that. And she's like, oh, can I make an appointment to see it? And I'm like, yeah, of course you can make an appointment to see it. So are you pre-qualified or are you working with a realtor, or what's the deal? I'm not pre-qualified. I'm not working with a realtor. I was just driving home from my friend's house and I thought I would call to see if I get an appointment to see it. I'm like, I appreciate that. I want to show it to you, but that's what open houses are for. You know, just pop in to see it, but you should be pre-qualified before you're even looking at houses. Like, this is a $10,000 a month house payment potentially. And like, why would you even want to waste your time looking at things you don't even know if you can afford? So
yeah, no,
people get prepared.
Yeah, and we said this many times. I know we talk about it a lot, but you know, it's real. This is a real thing in the marketplace. And you know, we talk about the most prepared people win. We talk about that a lot. We also say that hope is not a strategy. You got to stop. They can't go at it that way. They can't say, I've got a big down payment, or I like this house, or I'll figure it out, just give me the house. That is not a winning strategy. It will never win. And I feel bad. And I feel bad in this case for this buyer last week. They had a lender and their lender was not prepared. I think in a different situation, that buyer could have had a very good chance of getting a house. But
oh my gosh, exactly.
They had the wrong lender. And the sad thing is that who's going to tell that buyer that their lender is the wrong lender?
Right.
I can't. I'm not in that position. I wouldn't do that. But I feel bad because it's not fair. It's like they don't know what they don't know, but they've got to put that trust in someone they think knows. The person doesn't know. But where do you go with that? So I feel bad. I feel bad for those home buyers who put a lot of effort and time and energy and their emotions into something, and for no result.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, people are taking off time from doing important family things to look at houses that if you haven't been completely and thoroughly qualified, what are you doing? And they don't know that, but
They don't.
that's why you have to go with reputable people, you know?
No doubt.
All right, Rick, I appreciate you. Great job with your backdrop, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks. See you later.